It's Flames Nation Radio, episode number 31. As Shane eloquently put it before we started recording, the swing episode. It is the second edition of Flames Nation Radio during the postseason, brought to you by DoorDash and by Eau Claire Distillery, Rippers Whiskey, the official whiskey of the Calgary Flames. Hopefully, so far through the first four games, there have been things that have driven you fans to drink for positive reasons, and undoubtedly there have been things to drive you to drink for negative reasons. We are recording this prior to game number 5. It is currently, just so we either look very smart or very dumb, we are recording this about 3.5 hours before puck drop. Well, for puck drop, it's like 3 3/4 hours. It's a 7:50 puck drop scheduled on Sportsnet, CBC, and ESPN, and Sportsnet 960 radio network. So we're about the better part of 4 hours away from puck drop for game 5. Flames and the Dallas Stars are tied at 2 games apiece. I would say the Flames have played 4 pretty good games on the whole. I would say, but what do you think? So I think
game 2 was more of a dud. Like game 2,
I think game 4 was a really good. I think if we're as young Shane is still getting schooled, Shane would probably, I think we give game 4's effort an A. I think we would give game 1's effort a B, and I think we're looking at like a solid B minus for games 2 and 3, the games they lost. I would say, and we'll get into this. I think we'll get into the highs and lows of the first 4 games in this episode. I would say at a very a 10,000 foot level, the difference between the Flames, the games they won and the games they lost, was execution. I think you can make a very good case that the Flames, that first period of game 1, they deserve to have more than 1 goal, and they played their asses off, and they did a lot of simple things well, and then they got less good at doing simple things for the next 2 games and change, and then game 4, they were just game 4. I thought the Flames were just really good at doing simple things, and actually I'll point out to this. So Daryl Sutter, after screwing with us in the media pretty much for all of Monday, and kudos, sir. We'll all tip our hats to you, because I think a lot of us bought it hook, line, and sinker. So for those of you who aren't very online, spending your days on Twitter, what's it like to have a life? But for those of us who are very online and very on Twitter, here is how Monday unfolded. Here is Monday in a nutshell. So the Flames were coming off of a loss on a 4-2 loss on Saturday in game number 3 to Dallas. And so morning skate, they went through, they had new lines, and it appeared that the left winger on the Michael Backlund line was going to be Brett Ritchie, and appeared that the 4th line right winger was going to be Andre Mangiapane. So the changes would have made it. The second line would have become Ritchie, Backlund, and Toffoli. The 4th line would have become Lucic, Lewis, and Mangiapane. Now, Andre Mangiapane can play either wing because he's very good at hockey. He is more of a natural left wing. Aside from a few times where he's sort of been moved around, predominantly he plays on the left side. When Blake Coleman plays on that line, Blake Coleman plays on the right side. So the Flames have a lot of lefties who play their off wing, but most of the time, Andre Mangiapane plays the left side because he's a lefty. Similarly, most of the time, Brett Ritchie plays the right side because he's a righty. Does it seem odd to put a right winger on the left side, or a right shot player on the left side? No, I'm a right shot myself, and I prefer playing the left wing when I do play. Have not played in a while, have not played very well. But when I did play, I played on my off wing because there's just a comfort there. So different people are different. There are plenty, case in point, in the American Hockey League, the Flames have Dmitry Zavgorodny, who's a natural righty who plays the left side. He doesn't play a lot because the Heat are very deep on the left side, and also because Zavgorodny, he's just, to be blunt, he isn't quite as good as he was in junior. But that's neither here nor there. So for the thing, so Daryl Sutter trots out these new lines. Everyone's like, Brett Ritchie, what? And
it was like is he really going to do this? Like it was he rolls his 4 lines anyways. So
and
it's
you can make it make sense, because I think I posted on Twitter, I'm like, I don't know if he's going to do this, but I can kind of see the logic, because that way, like, Ritchie is a north-south player, not a lot of skill there, but a lot of heart, a lot of hustle. If the idea was, Backlund's line needs a more physical guy. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I can see that. Tyler Toffoli has
on the forecheck, maybe.
Toffoli has that good shot. Backlund's a good 200-foot guy, but you need a puck retrieval guy. Brett Ritchie could fit that mindset. Similarly, you're playing on the road. Lucic and Lewis might not have as much skill as Mangiapane. Mangiapane with over 30 goals this year, heck of a finisher. And between Lewis and Lucic, they can be your puck retrieval guys and your 200-foot guys. Like, they can. Okay, yeah, I talk myself into believing I could see Darryl doing this. And it seemed like they would have been lines that made some sense. And then we got to warmups, and our friends at the rink in Dallas were tweeting the warm-up lines, being like, "Oh, it looks like they're back to normal for lines." It's Mangiapane was on the second line. You had Ritchie on the fourth line on the right side. Back to normal. Oh hum. Darryl was screwing with us. Ha ha ha. Well done, sir. Well done. And then, so for those of you who follow me on Twitter, know that I post I do a screenshot of the game sheet from the NHL website for every single game, just to be like, here's just the scratch, who started, those kind of things. I like to keep track of it. It's kind of a fun thing that I do. I do the same thing occasionally, most of the time when I'm following the Stockton Heat games, of who's scratched, who isn't, who's playing with who, those kind of things. It's a fun thing. So one thing I noticed when I posted up, and actually I believe it was Matthew DeFranks from the Dallas Morning News who flagged it too. Actually, he flagged it first because I did the screenshot, post it, went, here are the scratches, the starters, went along my day. A couple of seconds later, bing, got a notification from Matt DeFrank's Twitter account. Oh, Flames are 11-7. 11-7, who's out? Brett Ritchie's out. So the whole thing with Brett Ritchie was based on what we can tell. Darryl, as he told the assembled media in Dallas after the game, Darryl thought after Rasmus Anderson got punted in game one and the Flames had to roll with 5 defensemen for the last 2 periods, with games every other day, he thought that the defense looked a little bit tired. And I can see that. So you had them, they basically dealt with it in game 2 and game 3, and in game 4 he's like, no, got to make a change. And so he put Michael Stone in place of the 12th forward, Brett Ritchie. And so Michael Stone ended up playing about 10 minutes. I think 10, 11 or 10, 12 was his official ice time. And he played on the power play. He played the penalty kill. He played a little bit even strength, but not very much. When you're only playing 10 minutes, you're not playing a lot in any situation. But he had 8 shots. He had 8 shots, and he just made stuff happen. He was, I'm Team Chaos, as many of you know. And Michael Stone, the Flames' 7th defenseman, good guy, good brother, good dad. Every time I talk to him in the elevator, he's telling me about what his kids are up to. And, he's playing for league minimum in Calgary because he's, his family lives here and he's from the area and he likes the town. He likes the organization and those kind of things. Playing for league minimum, coming in game 4 of a playoff game with the Flames down 2-1. And he just made shit happen. And you can look at a lot of the good things that happened from the Flames, and I think a lot of them took their cues from Stone, because Michael Stone would probably be the first to tell you, is Michael Stone the most skilled player in the NHL? Well, no. His best thing he has is his shot, and the second best thing he has is his on-ice awareness, where he just sort of knows where to be and where to go, and he doesn't really ever surprise you, but he's always solid. He's a rock solid. He's a great 7.
He came in and he gave the guys rest, right? Like it allowed Sutter to mix up. Like if he felt one defenseman looked slow, the next shift, okay, well, we can put Stone out there. You can take a shift off, right? Like we've got to trust. And Sutter said it all year long. It's playoffs. You're going to use a bunch of guys. Like he's like, you're going to need a bunch of guys. You're not going to use just the same roster from game 1 through to hopefully game 20. At max, they can play 27. 28, sorry. Yeah, I'm supposed to be the math guy. But my favorite thing he did was early in the first, like when the Flames were just bombarding, he kept getting the puck back at the right point and he would just shoot it. And I think he had about 4 of his 8 shots in one shift where he'd shoot the puck, Ottinger make the save like he has on pretty much everybody all series long. Flames would get the puck in the corner and they'd throw it back around to the point. It would end up back on Stone's stick, and Stone wasn't looking to do anything but shoot. Now, that can be a hindrance at some points, but at that time early in the game, just peppered, go for the rebounds. It was something that they hadn't seen. The Flames actually had traffic in front of the net while he was doing that. So it was like worth it. And it started, wearing out Ottinger. They need to start doing, they did it really good. They peppered him with shots. I don't think we're going to see 50 shots again. I think Dallas is going to try and shore up defensively.
You think we're going to see 60 shots, don't you? Like that one game against
I'm
Columbus.
right. If I said we don't see 50, but they came to play. That was game 4 was the Calgary Flames team that we've seen regularly all year long. They were good on the forecheck. They won their puck battles. They kept possession of the puck in the Dallas zone. They weren't necessarily shooting it, but they had it, and it was nowhere near their own goaltender, and they weren't needing to run around. They controlled the game. It was all them. And the only reason that caused Flames fans to lose hair in the first 30 minutes was because the Stars really do have this absolute stud of a goaltender that is emerging from this playoff series, regardless how it goes. He is going to be projected. He's their number one guy going forward, and he earns it. He's earned it. He's saved ridiculous amounts of goals above expected.
Just jumping off what you're saying, like when I tweet about details, that is exactly what I'm talking about in terms of, are the Flames throwing away the puck on changes? No, they're holding on to it. And, one guy, when the Flames are playing well, instead of just wildly flinging the puck in on changes, somebody goes in first, and then there's one or two guys tracking in, and then he whips the puck around to them and then goes to the bench. So little things like that, just the idea of they're not throwing away chances, they're not throwing away shots, they're getting in the way of guys, or that they did a lot of, you could look at the tape from any of the first 3 games and then compare to game 4. And if with the sound off and with things set up, if you're just watching patterns, there's not a lot of difference there. Everybody's in the right spots. Everyone's doing close to the right things. The difference is there's a bit more urgency. There's a bit more execution. There's a bit more battle level. I think the Flames won a lot more 50-50 pucks in game 4 than they did in the other 3 games, maybe combined. Like they were all over them. But I think that's the kind of thing that gets them in there, because like even just look at the penalties the Flames drew, / the fines the Flames drew. Jamie Benn got fined for, some are calling it a slew foot. I'm not calling it a slew foot. I'm just going to use the word slew foot a lot so that people can say slew foot, because it's a fun 2 word to say, slew foot. Slew foot. It's just a fun term. But he was credited with a trip. The NHL said that's a dangerous trip based on where he was. The way Trevor Lewis fell could have been a lot more dangerous for Trevor Lewis's knees and ankles and all kinds of body parts. So thankfully, Trevor Lewis seems to be fine because he finished the game and played pretty well. But the thing I liked about the Flames in that period was, beginning the second period, there's like, okay, we're going right at them, and they went right at them. They went around. They just kept beating Dallas to loose pucks. The Elias Lindholm goal, one of my favorite goals. You notice, I think it was a pass from the left of Ottinger across the slot. It was Tkachuk flinging the puck into the slot. It got past. I don't think Lindholm expected it, because it got past Lindholm and just sort of drifted towards the left point. And so the Flames had it looked like maybe it'll trickle out. And in other games, it probably would have gotten out of the zone. But Noah Hannafin, who was pinching before, saw it and then hauled ass to the point, held it, flung it back down to Johnny Gaudreau. Gaudreau immediately noticed there was a gap in coverage to Lindholm, put it right on his stick, and Lindholm had like 90 years to get that shot off.
If Lindholm's in that space between the face-off dots, like slot level, good night. Whatever goalie's in the net.
If you put it on his tape and he has more than a half second to think about it, it's almost automatic.
I said it to start the year. He's got the best natural shot on the team for anybody, whether it's wrist, slap, flick, everything. He does. He's the most accurate, as well as the strength and the power he's got. He just hits the net. The one thing I really like from that line, Matthew Tkachuk and his puck and his board battles down low was massively improved, partially because he was actually on the ice the whole game. He wasn't spending time in the box. And that I want to talk about that, because what Milan Lucic did, Jamie Benn was mouthing off in the media. Jamie Benn was saying things like, "Oh, he's a smart kid. He shouldn't fight me." And
he is a smart kid.
Milan Lucic went out first shift, went right to Ben, and whatever he said to Ben didn't want the smoke right off the hop. And it's basically, if you want to deal with these guys, you're going to go through.
Let's not put words in Milan Lucic's mouth. The facts of the matter is this: the Flames put out a line against Jamie Benn's line that had natural center Calle Järnkrok, natural center Trevor Lewis, and Milan Lucic, who is a left wing who occasionally takes faceoffs. And who took the opening faceoff against Jamie Benn? The winger, Milan Lucic, who is not a natural center, who does not play center, who does not line up as a center. He's played some center, but only if all the other centers are in the bathroom.
He did go after him, like after the puck had dropped too. He there was vision. He was shoving him, saying like things like giving him the old head nod, like, "Yeah, let's do it.
I'll say this: that the Flames used those three guys, Järnkrok, Lucic, and Lewis, to start off the first, second, and third periods, and they set the tone really well. And I thought, I'm kind of curious. I really liked. We talked about Michael Stone. I really liked 11 forwards, and I think
looks.
Oh, and that's the thing, because like they largely kept the top three together. Like Lindholm, Gaudreau, and Tkachuk, attached at the hip. They pretty much exclusively played with each other with minor variations. Occasionally, Gaudreau got a second look. Occasionally, Tkachuk did, but pretty much those three guys only really came out in the combination together. The second line, most of the time, was the reuniting of that Mangiapane, Backlund, Blake Coleman line, which is very good. They played well together. They played, Mangiapane didn't have a great game, but I thought that line as a group played really well together. But I think the thing that I really liked with the Flames was their bottom five rotation. They had 5 guys for 6 spots, and so they just rotated guys through. And sometimes you had Gaudreau or Tkachuk coming in and getting an extra rep, or Coleman getting an extra rep in the bottom 6 rotation just to fill in a gap. But you also had, like, the combinations I liked were Lewis, Lucic, Toffoli.
That was
Lewis, Lucic, Järnkrok. For a little while, they had, I think, Dubé, Lewis, Järnkrok.
Dubé, Lucic, Toffoli were out there mid on a line change and ended up in an offensive zone shift. And those are the 3 guys I call the Blasty Bros, because they can be mean, snarly, and they play hard nosed every single time. And they're all like friends. And that was cool. Like, they actually were able to make some nifty passing plays together in the offensive zone. And there's no natural center amongst those 3. And they were out there for a solid 30 seconds together. So, like, that's what it did. It allowed you didn't even have a center out there, and they were still controlling play.
Well, and because like if you're the Flames and if you're anticipating that Dallas is going to try a line match at home or on the road, you have a pretty well defined top 6. Whether or not Mangiapane's in the doghouse is yet to be seen. But I think that the 6 best forwards in the team are very well established. If the idea is you have 5 other guys you can play in any different combination, going 11 forwards. Like, if you're Kirk Muller, if you're Daryl Sutter, you just pick names out of a hat and just throw them out there, and you're going to get a different look. And if you're Dallas and you're trying to situationally line match, you're trying to figure out the vibe of any given shift. If you don't know which 3 guys are coming out at you, it makes it really tough. And granted, I didn't think Dallas had a very good game. I think I love the quote from Rick Bowness after the game. First question he was asked by the press in Dallas was what's going on. He was like, "I thought they were really good, and I thought we were really bad."
Yeah.
And I thought the Flames were really good. I thought Dallas had occasional spurts of good play. But if you asked me based on play which team deserved to win by 3 goals, it'd be Calgary. And I thought Calgary did a really good job responding to everything that happened in Game 3. And like that was just a good game. They played the game they needed to play. Dallas did not. Dallas was very far from the Dallas that they needed to be.
They played the way that I was hoping that they'd play this. Like it's been a long time since we've seen a playoff game where Calgary actually controlled play like that at any time. Like when they won a game against Colorado, that was as close. That was a close game. The Colorado probably had a tilt.
I think that game was like a 40 in terms of who carried play. It was like 45-55. It was really, really close. Like,
yeah,
there was maybe a 5-minute stretch in that game that the Flames did.
Man, toe drag backhand across the crease there with like less than 5 minutes to go. That was like one of the big goals. They took the 1-0 lead, and then they never won again. Partially because the shooting percentage sucked, which is another problem. They're less than 4% at 5-on-5 shooting percentage.
They're the worst team active in the playoffs with shooting percentage. Which
by the law of numbers means that they're still poised to break out with goals based on how they play. The Flames there's still more goals coming.
What's with the goals against are 7-7 right now?
It's 5-on-5. I have it up here on natural stats.
5-on-5, I think it's like 2.
Goals against at 5-on-5, 3-2. Or here, let me get rid of the score venue. 5-on-5 goals against, 3 for Calgary, 2 against. So there's only 5 total 5-on-5 goals through 4 games.
And what, Dallas has 2 empty netters. The Flames have 1 empty netter.
So yeah, and
each team has Flames have a couple of power play goals. Dallas has a couple of power play. It's really close. It's a really close.
Tight. The difference really, if you look, I shared a bunch of stuff on Twitter, retweeted it, whether it was from Hockey Viz or Evolving Hockey. Jake Ottinger coming into Game 4, so not even counting what he did in the Game 4 loss, he was at 8 goals saved above expected. Now, expected goals are, you get so many chances, folks. You get every chance has a numerical value for it in terms of, the expectation that will actually go in the net.
But I think it's a weight thing. It's a formula based on the type of shot you get and the distance
and the coverage.
Generally speaking, how often does that result in a goal? And then they conglomerate it together. So if you have a bunch of,
it's not like big in numbers. It's not like a number right out front of the crease is still like a 0.03 or 0.35 expected goals. Like that's like right in the crease. So even then it's not like, so, and then it accumulates over the span of a game. And, if someone's got 12.3 expected goals over a span of 3 games, then you would have expected the team to have at least scored 12 goals, right? Like Jake Ottinger, the Flames had created, I think, about 9 expected goals over 3 games, and Jake Ottinger had let in 2. So he was 7 goals saved, so stopped, above expected, which is insane. Those are the numbers that, like, you heard a lot mid-season, people talking about Shesterkin and how historical his numbers were and what he was doing. And he's a Vezina finalist with Flames, Jacob Markstrom. What Ottinger's doing right now is literal insanity. It's something that you don't game plan for a goaltender standing on his head and playing like the best goaltender in the league. So
the game plan for that is to get into his kitchen. But there's also, when he's pulling the type of, like, here, the entire series for Jake Ottinger in a nutshell is basically, I don't know if anyone, obviously we all saw it. I don't remember if anyone remembers the chance that Tyler Toffoli had to the glove side of Ottinger in Game 4, where basically it was put right on Toffoli's stick, and he just didn't get it up high enough. He got it up. It's not like he put it right into the pillows. He didn't put it right into the logo. He made the goalie make a save, but Jake Ottinger basically just put his glove up and went, boink, thank you, and then they had a whistle. So the two thoughts you have are, one, Jake Ottinger's in really good position there, which he was, and he has a good glove hand. And could Toffoli have gotten that up higher? Sure. He could have missed the net entirely too. He made the goalie make a save, and he made the goalie make a great save. And how many of those does Jake Ottinger have in him? So I think all you really can do is do whatever you can to make the goalie make saves and make him have to make a really good save. The more Jake Ottinger saves end up on SportsCenter or Hockey Central during the first couple of games of the series, means there's probably, like, all goalies,
they're getting good chances.
All goalies probably have a finite number of crazy chances they can stop. At some point, Nikita Kiprusoff didn't stop all the pucks because he simply couldn't stop everything. And that's the philosophy of Jake Ottinger. When the Flames put up 54, like what the 54th shot was the empty netter. So poor Jake Ottinger saw 53 chances, 53 good shots on him.
He still saved 50.
Yeah, and he lost. He made 50 saves, and his team lost.
Yeah, so you can't say. I think if Dallas fans, Texas fans are going to come out of this anything, there no blame is going to touch Jake Ottinger.
I'll say this: I had a nice chat with Matt DeFranks when he was through town the week before the playoff. Basically, the last time Dallas came through. Dallas is a really good team. I think the challenge with Dallas is, they're probably like one or two good young. If they have, granted, Jason, it's unfair to say they need another Jason Robertson. If they had one guy who is like a crappy version of Jason Robertson, 1 or 2 more guys, maybe another young blue liner, they're set. Their goaltenders, like they have They have Ottinger, who's great. They have a couple guys in Texas who are pretty decent hands who will be able to step in. I think if you're looking for some backup, I think having the job of being the backup goaltender in Dallas is going to be such a hotly contested job. It's a good hockey town. It's a good sports town. There's a baseball team. There's a football team. No state income tax. Like, there's a lot of things to like about that. Similarly, like, you look at their blue line, they have so many good young defensemen coming in that system, and they're only getting better. They have so many good young forwards. I think they're in the middle of a transition, like you said. But no matter what happens in this series, I think the future is bright in Dallas. I don't know if Dallas should be considered a cup contender yet. I think they're probably 2 good seasons of development for their key players away from that. But my goodness, like, they've got a very good hockey club.
They do have the experience, though. Like, a lot of those guys were part of their cup run to the cup final 2 years ago. You got to remember, they're not that far removed from going there, and they know the bubble playoffs.
As an aside, does the bubble playoffs seem like 100 years ago?
Yeah, it seems like forever ago. I had short hair when the bubble playoffs started.
You were clean shaven when the bubble playoffs started.
I was clean shaven and had no. It was like buzz cut when the bubble playoffs started. So this is what happens, folks. This is how long it's been. But no, it's been. Dallas is good. Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin have clearly taken a step back.
Joe Pavelski.
Joe Pavelski hasn't. Joe Pavelski's ageless wonder. He's gonna be. He seamlessly is he's a Flames killer too. He likes to score goals.
I'll say this. The bloggers for the Stars are probably saying, "Oh man, you know I friggin' hate Tkachuk. I hate Lucic. I hate, there's probably a handful of other guys in the team they dislike. But my goodness, like, from a Flames perspective, Jesus, having the ability to have Ben and Sagan and Pavelski up and down your lineup, teaching young guys. They have Ryan Suter, who's still got tread left on the tires.
He's been playing a top 4 role too.
And he's so quiet. You barely notice him. He plays a ton, and he carries the load in terms of the quiet defensive stuff, so that Miro Heiskanen can be Miro Heiskanen. And great,
Miro Heiskanen that's huge. Had some good looks. You forget he rang the crossbar early in the first when it was 0-0. He come in, snuck in, got us a chance from the slot, and that was a heavy shot right off the crossbar. I think it just got a piece of Markstrom's shoulder before it went into that, but still, like, if he's allowed to roam and he's got the room to roam, he can make you pay. He's a true number one, or going to be number one defenseman, and he's getting paid like he's getting $8 million a year. At least he's not getting suspended for games in the playoffs. But I mean,
that is better to play than not play. Okay, Shane, we talked about the stuff that we liked so far this series. What have we not liked so far through 4 games?
I didn't like the forecheck to start. They fixed that in game 4 a lot, but they weren't getting in. Like, they were dumping pucks, especially late when they had their goalie pulled. They were dumping the puck in. They dumping the puck in on power plays. They weren't emphasizing actually holding on to the puck when they could. They were just doing the quick dump it mentality, which is what they used to do. They need to take, and they corrected this in game 4. So they needed to take what the Stars defense was giving them. If the Stars defense was giving them the blue line, they needed to continue to walk in with possession. Don't dump it just because for the sake of getting. Now, if someone pressures you or someone's coming from behind, absolutely, that's the safe play. That's the smart play. Get it deep. But they were defaulting to that. They weren't carrying it when they could and waiting for possession. One of the best things Johnny Gaudreau did was he would get in the zone, and everyone's like, oh, he's doing the button curl. He used to do the button curl and look for a cross ice pass. Now he does it, keeps possession, lets Tkachuk get low, and then rims it around the boards to Tkachuk. If Tkachuk's being pressured, Tkachuk can keep letting it go, and Lindholm or Anderson are on the right-hand boards to pick it up, and then they can keep possession. They weren't doing that. They were trying to find the cross-seam pass. They were trying to force it. They were getting away from everything that made them successful. So they did correct that in game 4. I want to see that. And I want to see more traffic in front of Ottinger. They didn't have enough in game 2. They didn't have enough in game 3. They lost both of them. The shots from the point that some of the guys were taking, they weren't charging the net. All of this stuff.
I would say with that, we love you, Noah Hannafin, but the Noah Hannafin looping wrister into the goalie's crest or into the goalie's glove helps nobody. It gets you an ozone face-off, but it really does nothing else to make anything happen.
a foot lower and it could go off a skate or a stick and maybe beat on.
If it goes a foot lower, he either has to crouch down and it creates extra holes in his gear, or he boots it off his pillows and then you get something else coming out. So I get the idea of you got nothing going on, you don't give up possession, so you just playing on net. But there's playing on net and there's shooting it.
And the other thing that I noticed was there's not a lot of Ottinger's been giving up a fair amount of rebounds. And Calgary just didn't, they weren't on the crease. They weren't there. They're not searching for those dirty playoff goals now. And eventually they got one. And guess which line was the one that got the dirty, greasy?
The term we prefer to use is greasy goals. Dirty goals have a negative connotation. Grease is useful. Grease is something you can cook with grease. Grease tends to make sure your machinery works properly. Grease is good. Dirt is gross.
Well, you might as well just call Trevor Lewis Mr. Grease then, because he is doing. Daryl Sutter said it. He says we're lucky to have a player like Trevor Lewis. And to be honest, these
$800,000.
These first 4 games, he has been invaluable. His penalty killing has been fantastic. He's always of all the players, he's been consistent.
You can make a case that you can make a case he's been the Calgary's most consistently reliable player in the series.
Like I've got a newfound respect for Trevor Lewis as a player. I knew he was going to come. The numbers, everything said that he was going to be a defense first, bottom 6 guy. But what he's added to the penalty kill and the consistency level, and just the pairing of him and Lucic, knowing that what exactly you're going to get out of the two of them, no matter who the third person on the line is fantastic. And they know where to be. They know how to play off each other. They've got some good chemistry. And when you can mix and match the lines and maybe sneak Johnny Gaudreau out for a shift with them when you do the 11-7, that just helps them. And they know how to get possession. They know how to keep the puck low and keep the defenseman's head on a swivel. So they've been fantastic. Trevor Lewis specifically, I like to call him out for being, like you said, one of the most consistent forwards on the team.
I'll make the case. The other thing I didn't like so far in the series, and they were a lot better in game 4, and I think because of the details of their game being a lot better, the Flames have, like Daryl flat out said, they got their asses kicked in face-offs, I think, after game 3. It's game 2 or game 3, one of the games. Got their asses kicked on face-offs.
Game 2, they were just terrible.
Yeah, I think the better games they played, 2 and 3, they weren't very good in faceoffs. 1 and 4, they're a lot better in faceoffs. And I thought you can't just say it's all in the center. I think it's in terms of the battle level of everybody on the ice. And this is my long tangent. So remember earlier I talked about how much I loved 11-7 and how it kept the regular defensemen fresh. So specifically, the 10 minutes to Michael Stone in game 4 made it so that there was less time, I think between 2 and 3 fewer minutes in that game for Tanev, Anderson, Hanifin. Kept the good players fresh. Then Oliver Shillington ended up playing a little bit less, but who cares?
He don't kill, so yeah.
He don't kill. He plays sometimes in the power play, but it depends. So anyway, so the thing that I noticed, the Flames at their best play a really strong 5-man unit. In terms of they play connected, it's about execution, it's about short, simple passes, and it's about bundling things together simply to create pressure, to create possession, and just grind the other team to dust. What worked well, I think, in game number 4 was they got more out of the regular defensemen. You need to make a case for Stone too, but adding Stone in, taking the extra 2 or 3 minutes out, gave you a little bit more gas in the tank for those 3 guys in particular, and allow them to get more involved, be more engaged, be more connected. And I think the reason, we talk about, oh man, who was really good? That top line was really good. And I thought Gaudreau and Tkachuk and Lindholm were very good in game 4. I think one of the reasons why they were good in game 4 is the guys behind them, the defensemen, were all almost uniformly better than they were in game 2 or game 3. And I think the Flames I think the key to the Flames is their defense. If the blue line group is active, energetic, engaged, making simple, smart plays, connecting between each other and their forwards, I think the Flames are a really tough team to beat. And if they're making mistakes, if they're tired, if they're beaten up, then they're a lot easier to beat.
When they activate and help keep possession in the offensive zone and not just throw it on net, like a lot of D will get the puck and they'll try to walk the line and shoot it. And it's okay. It's fine. I always refer to it. Mark Giordano loved to do it. Mark Giordano, I was watching the Leafs play last night. He's still doing it. He gets the puck at the point and he shoots it. And sometimes that's not the right play. Sometimes the better play is go back into the corner keep possession, keep the guys wore out, and look for a better opportunity to try and beat the goaltender. Because shooting it from that far out and praying for a bounce, or if you're shooting it, like you said, like if you shoot it high enough that it's just going to bounce into the goalie's crest, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. You're wasting it. You're giving away possession. Dallas is pretty good at getting rebounds in front of their goalie and boxing out. So you need to be able to get chances from in closer. If you notice the goals that have beat Ottinger, the person that's beat Ottinger twice, Mr. Lindholm, has scored both goals from the face-off circles. That's how far out he was when he beat Ottinger. And Rasmus Anderson's 5-on-3 goal, face-off circle. Trevor Lewis's goal, in tight, right there. So Ottinger's not letting anything in from the point. You need to push the Stars back in towards them, which will help create more traffic, and then find an outlet pass to someone who can maybe find some space on the wing, or just put it back down low and let the guys grind down low. Like they're good at it. They've been doing it all year. Specifically, Matthew Tkachuk, he's so good, and he can come. The thing Tkachuk can do, because he's got this IQ. If the pass ain't there, he'll bring it out front and charge the crease and create an absolute havoc, which is nothing but a beneficial thing for the attacking team.
Those are the types of goals that get scored in the postseason, though.
And those are the types of goals.
As Daryl Sutter's catchphrase has been, how many goals are scored from me to you? Usually between him and someone in like the first or second row of the media. So it's within like 15, 20 feet of the net. And yeah, he's right. And I don't think it's a coincidence that most of the Flames goals have been scored from the hash marks in. And so
do that. That's what's needed to beat this goaltender. It's not like you're getting shots like Mike Smith in his series. He's been letting a lot of goals in from distance. Like the Kings have been able to throw pucks from the point and they found ways past him, or he's, busy passing it right to them while he's standing behind the net. It's like, that doesn't happen with Calgary. Markstrom doesn't play the puck like that. Markstrom plays the puck to his defenseman alone. Sometimes he springs a winger for a pass, but usually it's the winger's wide open. And Ottinger's doing the same thing. Ottinger's not looking for stretch passes. Ottinger is tending the goal, and you need to crash it and create havoc for him to get him out of position, because if you just leave him in position and he can see it, he is going to stop it.
Shane, has there been a nicer goal in your memory scored by Johnny Gaudreau than the penalty shot goal he scored in Game 4? Or was it like we're just like ho hum? I've seen better Gaudreau. I'm trying to think of better Gaudreau. I might have seen one or two better Gaudreau goals in my life. There was one he scored in the NCAA National Championship tournament his rookie year, where it was used on all the ESPN highlight reels, being like, "Holy cow, this kid's really arrived!" And yeah, he did. He arrived that year, and I think he scored one in the World Champion or the World Juniors a couple years later. That was also very, very good. But in terms of just goals to make you go, okay.
Situation wise too, like playoff wise, I think he scored the game winner in the lone game they made the second round in 2015, and they beat the Ducks one game. I'm pretty sure Johnny scored the game winner.
He scored the game tying goal.
Game tying, okay, because I know he got one.
Scored in overtime.
Yeah. So Johnny, that's a big one. That's a big one. And see, Daryl Sutter always says, he's like, there's goals and there's big goals, right? There's goals and there's big goals, and I'd rather have someone that scores big goals. And that goal Johnny Gaudreau scored at that point in time, that is a big effing goal. Right?
In a series that's
he had his number. Johnny, there was like the amount of blocker saves, like Johnny was going between pad and blocker all night. Ottinger just had his blocker every single time Johnny was taking a shot.
Or Gaudreau trying to do his patented like the weird low stick side thing that never really comes to the side of the net. So
what does Johnny do? Well, all year long, all his breakaways, he didn't go 5-hole all year. But that's all. You can ask lots of Flames fans. They used to call him Johnny 5-hole because that's only place he'd ever shoot on a breakaway, especially in like 18, 19. And so he didn't do it.
The thing I like about this one is it wasn't even a shot. Technically, it was basically he committed to the move, and then as soon as Ottinger bit and started to track him, he just slid it between his legs.
He's just gifted. Simple. And you know, they tried so many shots to beat him, right? And they said, well, no one's going to be hacking me. Let's try to deke this kid. Let's try a move. Let's try something that we haven't been able to do because you don't normally have that much space. And he made it work. He made it count. Then he was there for the primary pass on the 3-1 goal. It's a game-winning goal for Johnny Gaudreau. It's a big goal.
It was.
As his coach said,
you got it wrong.
Good on breakaways.
That third goal was a 3-0 goal, and I think that's
but Johnny's was the second goal.
The Flames
shot was the second goal.
The Flames were playing a 1-goal series pretty much exclusively, and Gaudreau gave them the ability to play a 2-goal series and have some breathing room, and he made it happen. And then he made that pass on the third goal, and like they made, the one mistake they made in the PK made it a 2-goal game rather than a 1-goal game, or a 2-goal game rather than being tied. And that's the difference. I think psychologically speaking, they had a game where they threw everything but the kitchen sink, and then the kitchen sink at Jake Ottinger, and they got rewarded. Imagine if they hadn't gotten rewarded. How much does that mess with your head, being like, we threw like 70 shots at this kid and we only scored once?
That's the story that's been, everyone used to say playoff Sam Bennett, but playoff Sam Bennett used to stand out because he was the only one with a shooting percentage above 6%. Right. Like nobody could score. Like right now, we're still looking for goals from the depth. It's still Lindholm and Gaudreau creating all the offense, and you got one from Lewis. Where has the middle six been for goals? Like Coleman and Dubé, they've been trying. Dubé has been trying a lot, but Toffoli and Mangiapane, like these are the goal scorers. You paid for goal scorers. You guys got to get out, and you guys got to find a way to put it in the net. You got to find a way to beat the goalie, because you're going to need those goals. Even if the Flames somehow do, there's no guarantee they get by. They could lose game 5. They can. It's blasphemous to say it's a swing game. It hasn't happened yet. They could lose. And then if they lose, what was the score? Whatnot? You need your depth guys to score. You're not going to win the cup with those guys getting no goals. Someone's got to step up. Someone's got to find a way to score.
Everybody's got to be pulling on the rope, right?
But the thing they all got to do is they got to worry. I said this last week, and I'm going to say it every week. The only thing they got to do is worry about what they're going to do on their next shift. Don't worry about period 2 or 3 of your game 5. Go out, try to get the first one, because playing against Dallas with a lead beats playing Dallas without the lead, because when Dallas has the lead, it is friggin' hard to get through their trap. It is 1-goal lead and they are back, right? They are back. They are in complete protection mode the second they have a 1-0 lead. And that can both hinder and hurt. Calgary did that in the bubble playoffs. They sat back and it took their 3-0 lead that they had in game 6, I believe, into a 7-3 loss because they stopped moving their feet.
I think it was either 3-0 or 4-0.
It was at least 3. I think it was 3-0, and then it was 3-1 to end the period. And then I just remembered it ended 7-4, I think.
The easiest way to lose a lead is sitting on it.
Yep. And then Calgary doesn't do that. This new version, the Sutter version of the Flames, they don't change their game plan. They literally do not change how they play, whether they're down 2-1, up by 2. It doesn't matter. They are constantly playing the same way. That's why I have so much faith in them. Now, I'm just glad it's not a 5-game loss, because that's just absolutely devastating. At least, no matter what, they're playing 6 games, so they're going to play Friday for sure. Hopefully, by the end of Friday, there's going to be one of 3 things. We're either going to be golfing, we're either going to be in the second round, or we're going to be awaiting game 7. That's what's going to happen.
I don't know if my heart can take game 7.
Well, I'd rather take game 7 than the golf.
This is true. I'm not built for golf.
Preference is Friday. I'll be in Medicine Hat at a big Flames fans buddy. He's having a bachelor party, so we're all going to go to the Medicine Hat Casino and watch the game. And I'm hopefully
because are the Tigers still playing? Or are they done?
I don't know. We're big. We're just, the vibe with me and my group of friends right now is like right now we love making fun of what's going on north of the QE2, north of Red Deer on the QE2, and we're just hoping for
Leduc?
Positive vibes south.
How dare you speak ill of the great municipality of Leduc, sir? How dare you?
Anyways,
and yeah, the Tigers are done.
We're hoping Friday night. It's a celebration and not a disappointment. But as long as they're still alive, I'll take it.
And I think that's probably a good place to cap off this week's edition of FlamesNation Radio. As always, we're delivered to you by DoorDash, and also brought to you by Rupert's Whiskey, the official whiskey of the Calgary Flames, from our friends at Eau Claire Distillery. Have a drink responsibly, have some fun. It's playoff time. Should be fun. Hopefully it's not too stressful on everybody. Hopefully you find time to have some fun. Get a nap in before the game. So for Shane, I'm Ryan. Thanks very much for joining us, everybody. And we'll talk to you in 1 week's time when hopefully we're still talking about postseason hockey involving the team that resides in Calgary. Have a good week, guys.